What's going on, everyone? Welcome into this episode of the Chiefs On Podcast. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Hope you're all having a great Monday. It's been a very busy Monday for the NFL news cycle, and it does tie into the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit, so we've got a lot to talk about here tonight. As you all know, the breaking news, the Miami Dolphins, they're starting to clean house. They released a couple of guys. That includes former Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Yes, the speculation has already begun, and a lot of people are already tying his name to come back to Kansas City. Will that happen? Should the Chiefs go after Tyreek Hill? A lot of people think so. A lot of you guys certainly think so. I'll give you guys my thoughts in just a few minutes on that. Also, ESPN put out some offseason projected moves, including some trades here. And they put out who they think Trent McDuffie should go to and what the compensation could potentially be. I'll tell you about that and whether or not I agree with that. That came from Bill Barnwell of ESPN, to be clear. So I'll share that with you guys later on in the podcast as well. Plus, a couple other news and notes here. I am going to turn on the video call. So if you guys want to call in for this episode, we'll do that. I know we don't do a lot of call-ins for non-post game shows. We've done it a couple of times. I'm gonna test it out to see if it's worth doing in the future. So if you guys want to call into tonight's podcast, I'll give you guys that opportunity. I'll share that link a little later on in a few minutes. Before we go any further, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. And right now, we got a lot of sports in action right now. The NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball going to be starting up real soon. We've got college basketball going on. That's been crazy in the last 48 hours, especially locally here. And if you guys want to catch any of the action, all you've got to do is get your ticket from SeatGeek. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, use my promo code Farzin. That'll save you $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets at checkout. New customers can enter my promo code Farzin. That'll save you $20 off your first order on SeatGeek. All right, let's get right into it. Actually, before we do that, I made a note here, and I already forgot here, but I'll share it right now. I want to let you know, a lot of you guys have been asking, when is there going to be a big update regarding the live podcast that I've been teasing? So in case you haven't seen it on my social media, we are making an official announcement this Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. So if you're one of those people that, by the way, I will say this, it is a ticketed event. You will have to purchase a ticket to get in. We also have special guests. We'll have the details on that this Friday at 12. But I will say this. It's not one of those events that's going to sell out. We might have, if this works out, our first live show, and we do future ones, there might be a limitation as to how many tickets will be available. But for this one, I can assure you there isn't a cap on tickets. And it'll make a lot more sense when we share the details this Friday. So for those who are interested in the live show, I can't give too many details right now, but I can tell you it's going to happen damn near the end of March. So in about 5 weeks from now, just to give you guys a heads up. And it will take place in Kansas City, Missouri. That is all I can say in regards to that. Otherwise, stay tuned. Friday, 12 p.m. Big announcement coming. I told you guys already. I have a camera here, and I also have TikTok on here, so I got to be careful I don't reveal anything. Right here is the poster for this event. And I got to tell you, I have to redo it because I have the incorrect date on here. That's my fault. Otherwise, the poster looks great. It's beautiful. It's nice. It's awesome. I know it looks nice because I'm the one who made it. I wish I could show you guys. I wish I could turn it around and show you guys, but I can't. I can't do that right now. So just letting you know, people have been asking, when are we going to finally get the word out there? It's happening this Friday, Red Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. And I know there are going to be probably a lot of questions regarding all of this, and I'll be available for you guys to ask any questions. We might do a live stream just to address some of the questions on that right there. So that's all I can say for now. All right. Let's get right into the show here. Obviously, the big news on this Monday, the Miami Dolphins have released Tyreek Hill. He is no longer with the Miami Dolphins. Not really a big surprise. A lot of people expected the Miami Dolphins to do this. It became official today on February the 16th, and that leaves a lot of people wondering, what is next for Tyreek Hill? Where will he go next? And the national media, as well as people in Kansas City, wasted very little time connecting his name back to Kansas City. From Stephen A. Smith to almost every talk show host across the country. And of course, today's President's Day, so not all the hosts were working today, but everyone is predicting that he's going to go back to Kansas City. But it's not as easy as the Chiefs picking up the phone and saying, hey, Tyreek, yeah, you're a free agent now. Want to come back? Yeah, you do? Great. Come on over. Let's sign a contract. You're back. No, not as simple as that. I think a lot of people are just, listen, let me just get this right out of the way. The idea of Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City, it's pretty exciting. It's thrilling, in fact. As you think of what happened in 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021, it didn't end in a Super Bowl all of those years, but they went to the AFC Championship all 4 of those years I mentioned, as well as 3 more after that without Tyreek Hill. But with Tyreek Hill, they went to Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes together, to be clear, went to 4 AFC Championship games, won a Super Bowl together. And Tyreek Hill did a lot of great things during his time in Kansas City. His rookie year, he was very active as a receiver, as a rusher, as a returner. And since then, he's primarily focused on the wide receiver position, and he's been nothing but great at that. The last couple of years, obviously, has been a little bit of a downfall for Tyreek Hill. You've seen a decline in his play. And unfortunately, he suffered a brutal knee injury in late September in that Monday Night Football game, and obviously out for the season. Multiple ligaments torn on that knee, and now he finds himself in free agency for the first time in his career. Keep in mind, Tyreek Hill was drafted about 10 years ago, and this will be his first offseason where he will test the free agent market. And something important to note, I saw this from Field Yates. He mentioned that because Tyreek Hill was under contract, he can sign with any team at any time. He does not have to wait for the new league year to begin. Tyreek Hill can join a team in 5 minutes. He can do it tomorrow. He doesn't have to wait in a little less than a month for the new league year. He can join a team as early as tonight or anytime this week. So that is something important to note. Now, here's my question, and I did a poll on this. I asked on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, I asked you guys, should the Chiefs, and keep in mind the word is should, not will, I asked, should the Chiefs bring back Tyreek Hill? And it was an overwhelming yes. I mean, almost everybody seems to want to have Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City. Now, as I mentioned, he's free to sign with any team at any time. He doesn't have to wait for the new league year. But I don't know if any team is rushing to his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, to try to get him ASAP. Because I think there are some significant concerns when it comes to Tyreek Hill. One right off the bat, and I already alluded to this, would be the knee injury that he sustained at the end of September in that Monday Night Football game. It was week 4, if I recall, of the NFL season. Scary knee injury. In fact, I did a reaction video to it because I saw it for the first time when we were live streaming that night. Scary knee injury, multiple ligaments torn there. Tyreek Hill was on Twitch. I think he was playing 2K or something. I don't know what it was, but he was asked a lot about the knee and how he's doing with recovery. And he did say that he is expected to have one more surgery on his knee. So that's already a concern right off the bat. Now, how significant, how major is it? I don't think he dove into details with that. I think he kept it pretty vague. But he mentioned he had to have surgery one more time. His words, not mine. So, look, you've already got Patrick Mahomes, who suffered a torn ACL much later in the season, in mid-December, had a surgery, if I recall, on the 15th. It's been just over 2 months since then. And there are, questions as to whether or not he will be ready for week one. A lot of people feel like with his work ethic and how he's overcome injuries in the past, he'll be ready for week one. Tyreek Hill's injury, yes, it happened a couple of months sooner, but that was a devastating knee injury that he suffered during that game. And if you were to add Tyreek Hill, there would be two players who you're monitoring this offseason to see how they're doing and whether or not they'll be available for week one. And it's also going to be followed up with, okay, even if they are available for week one, how will they look? Will they be the same wide receiver? Or, those are the valid concerns people have. I know a lot of times athletes get sensitive when those questions are brought up and they don't like that kind of questioning, but it is a valid question. Listen, Tyreek Hill is an incredible athlete. I don't need to go into detail with that with you guys because you guys know all of that very well. But I will say this, because even before the knee injury, the last 2 years, and I'm including this past season, even though he only played 4 games, Tyreek Hill just seemed like he was gassed out. And maybe that's from all the energy he's exerted over the years going full speed on the field. I mean, we all know how fast he is. Nobody can keep up with him. And maybe that's caught up to him a little bit. Follow that up with this knee injury here that he's recovering from and supposedly needs to have one more surgery on. There are some big concerns just in that category alone. Now, that's not the only thing. As we know in Kansas City, and it's happened quite a bit in Miami, unfortunately, with Tyreek, there have been a lot of off-the-field incidents, drama, alleged incidents with Tyreek Hill. Should make that very clear. Alleged incidents. Listen, the Chiefs kind of went through a couple of years where they dealt with a lot of negative off-the-field issues with players, as well as an assistant coach in Britt Reed. Right now, and I want to be very clear on this. This is alleged, but Rashee Rice was accused of domestic violence. His ex put up all these pictures of broken closets, holes in walls. She posted pictures of bruises on her face, leg, whatever. There's no concrete evidence that Rashee Rice did any of this, but the fact that this is out there now, it kind of does fall under the category of drama that Rashee Rice's name is tied into. And we don't really know what happened. Do you want to have another wide receiver who is constant? Because Tyreek Hill's had a lot of incidents happen off the field, allegedly. Training in his backyard with a couple content creators or influencers. The boating incident with him and his agent, he allegedly hit somebody. I think one of his baby mamas is even trying to take him to court. Like, Tyreek Hill's had a lot of drama over the last few years. We saw one where he was put in handcuffs, where the police officer just wasn't having it, obviously, that day, and was very specific with his demands. Tyreek Hill to keep his windows down and whatnot. There's been a lot with Tyreek Hill. We've only seen video for one of those little deals, and it seemed like it was just a traffic violation, but it escalated into something that it probably should not have escalated into. So if you were to add Tyreek Hill, the concern with that would be, can he stay out of trouble? Can he focus on football? Then the next part, what's his price tag going to be? Because right now, the Chiefs are $50 million over the cap. Now, it'll be easy to reduce that number. I think some obvious moves will be cutting Jawan Taylor. I think you're going to have to cut Mike Dana as well. Those two alone will help free up $29 million in cap space, which is a lot. Drew Tranquill, unfortunately, might be a cap casualty this offseason. Trading Trent McDuffie might be on the table, and we'll get into Trent McDuffie shortly. But that's also a possibility to help free up some cap space. Obviously, the Chiefs will do their thing in trying to restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract and Chris Jones' contract. Speaking of Chris Jones, by the way, he actually tweeted to Tyreek Hill and said, "It's time," and then had the clock emoji. So take that for what it's worth to you. I mean, look, if you're Chris Jones, and I know Chris Jones has campaigned so hard to the Chiefs to bring back guys like Frank Clark, which they did not end up doing. He did it for Mike Pinnell, which that reunion ended up happening. He's now doing this for Tyreek Hill. Look, let me just say this right now. If you're Chris Jones and you really want a reunion with Tyreek, you gotta play some ball here and take a significant pay cut. I meant to say. You got to seriously do that. Now, what is Tyreek Hill going to ask for? We don't know. Coming off a significant knee injury, and he's 32 years old. Listen, no one's doubting that Tyreek Hill can still, run full speed and all of that, but can he still play at a high level? That's the most important thing with Tyreek Hill. And again, a lot of people are connecting his name to Kansas City. Now, I mentioned Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes. Maybe they restructure it again. Maybe this is the year they finally just sign him to an extension so they can redo the whole thing. That's possible. I know that's been speculated for a couple of years now with Mahomes. I'll say this right now, and I don't like to bring up players' personal lives in discussion with their football decisions in terms of where they go, who they sign with, and whatnot. Listen, we all know Tyreek Hill's got a lot of kids with a lot of different women. I mean, that's not a secret. But I mean, listen, it's not easy being a single parent. So he's going to want a lot of money out there. And I just don't know if Kansas City is a place for it. Now, if Tyreek Hill financially is great, I see on his social media, he says he's I think an Adidas athlete. He also updated his Instagram bio saying he's unemployed, which I thought was pretty funny. Everyone got a kick out of that. I mean, I don't know what that Adidas contract is worth. If he's making a lot of money and if he's been financially responsible over the years and he's willing to play for a small price so he could win another championship and come back to Kansas City, sure. I mean, if Tyreek Hill is willing to play for $8 to $10 million, I don't see much of a risk there. I think he's worth bringing back. But if Tyreek Hill's going to want anywhere from 20 to 30 million, maybe even more than that, I don't think the Chiefs are going to waste a second even considering him at that point. You just cannot be willing to throw 20 or so $1 million at some. It would probably be more than that. But I don't think the Chiefs would have any interest in that, given all of those concerns I just mentioned to you. And listen, look at who the Chiefs have. Hollywood Brown. I know he's not what he once was, but he's certainly younger at 28 years old. Will turn 29 in June. You have Tyquan Thornton, who's still early in his career, and that's not someone that's been utilized much. And we all know that in Kansas City because everyone was complaining about the lack of Tyquan Thornton being used this year. And I think Tyquan Thornton, not only is he healthier, he's younger, he's also got a size advantage. Not saying he's a better player than Tyreek Hill, but I think those three things alone, they matter. I mean, he's going to be much cheaper than what Tyreek Hill is going to ask for. So those are some things to seriously consider. Look, I know everyone says the salary cap, you can massage it. It's a myth. You can say all of these things, but it's a real thing. There's a reason why the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. What was it, 4 years ago? And then 2 years after that, what do? They trade L'Jarius Sneed almost on the exact same date. And then less than a year later, they trade Joe Thuney. They didn't trade Tyreek Hill, L'Jarius Sneed, and Joe Thuney because they wanted draft picks. They had to trade those guys because they were not able to meet their demands contractually, financially, in accordance with the salary cap. The salary cap is a real thing. And we've seen it over the last few years. And I think the Chiefs, they've tried very hard to keep as many people possible. Guys like Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Noah Gray, George Karlaftis, who signed a big deal right before training camp got underway. Trey Smith got his deal last year as well. I mean, the Chiefs have tried really hard to keep some of their key pieces, and it has not been easy. It has come at a big cost in having to say goodbye and trade away some key players. Now, some of it has worked out for Kansas City. I mean, the Tyreek Hill trade, sure, Kansas City's offense has not been the same since 2023. That was more than a year after Tyreek got traded. Because in 2022, the Chiefs' offense looked just fine. I mean, Patrick Mahomes almost unanimously won MVP that year, league MVP and Super Bowl MVP that year. But since then, the Chiefs' offense has taken a big step back. There's no question about it. How much of that was on Tyreek Hill? How much of that was on coaching? Because right around that same time, from 2022 to 2023, that was when the Chiefs changed offensive coordinators and their wide receivers coach, and we saw a big dip in the offensive performance then. Now, we've already talked about that, and we've seen the Chiefs bring back Eric Bieniemy, and they also brought in Chad O'Shea, who I think is going to be a very important part of Kansas City's coaching staff this year. So would Tyreek Hill help complete that puzzle on offense? And if so, what would he demand? What's his price tag? I have a hard time believing Tyreek Hill would play for $8 to $10 million. I think Tyreek Hill is going to want... Listen, when you're as dynamic of a receiver as Tyreek Hill is, you're going to want every penny, nickel, diamond, quarter you can get from any team out there. I think Tyreek Hill's going to want to play for as much money possible. Maybe not top dollar. Maybe he's not in position to demand that kind of a deal. But maybe top 10 for 2026. I think at the very least he wants that. And I don't blame him. Again, we already kind of went over his personal matter. And, listen, you need a lot of money when that you've got that in your life. I just feel like at the end of the day, I don't think the Chiefs can afford Tyreek Hill. And with all those concerns I mentioned with the off-the-field drama and the knee injuries coming back from, I think that's so difficult to just look past that and say, let's bring him back. Let's reunite him and run it back, do what we did in 2018, 2019, 2020 when we had all those big numbers. I think that's too difficult to do. So those are my thoughts. And I want to know from you guys, do you want Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City? It's a yes or no question. Comment with that below. If you guys want to call into the show, there's a link for you guys to click on. All you got to do is turn on your audio, your video, put in your name, and let's see. Let me see some of the comments we've had so far tonight on the podcast. How much would he cost us? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. If his price isn't too high and is team friendly, and if he can still play post injury, we know the name, but what is his physical abilities coming off an injury? See, a lot of you guys are very concerned about the injury, and that's why no one really knows what he's going to demand. I mean, if he's going to want, let's just say $30 million, I think there are a lot of teams that are going to say, cool, but we're going to look elsewhere. But I think there's one team out there that's willing to give Tyreek Hill, at least one. Who is that team? I don't know. It would have to be a team that is in desperate need of a wide receiver, but they kind of feel like he could maybe help complete things on offense. I'll give you one team that might feel that way right now. I think the Raiders. A lot of you guys don't want to hear it, but I'll tell you right now, I think the Raiders could be a suitable option for Tyreek Hill. Because when you look at the Raiders, they're about to get Fernando Mendoza. I mean, unless Fernando Mendoza somehow flops at the combine and just gets into trouble or gets hurt, there's no way he's not the number one pick in the draft. And they have Ashton Genty. They have Brock Bowers, two really good football players that are playing for a really bad team. But what if they added a dynamic receiver like Tyreek Hill? I think that'd be a great fit for both sides. Just kind of depends on whether or not they're willing to spend that kind of money. Boom says one last ride. Hill, Kelsey, Jones, Mahomes. Don't forget Kareem Hunt. Assuming they re-sign him. Rice and Worthy. Yeah. And I heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. He mentioned that Rice and Worthy, they're good players, but they have not been consistent. And they're not Tyreek Hill, sure. I mean, the way Stephen A. Smith was phrasing it today on his show, he's basically saying, hey, Tyreek did all these great things, and he still does great things. Let's do it. Well, I mean, Stephen A. just I don't know if Stephen A. Smith lives in a world where general managers can turn off the salary cap like you can do in Madden. That does not exist in real life, in the actual NFL. And the other part of it, I think Stephen A. just completely forgot to consider that Tyreek Hill's coming off a brutal knee injury. I mean, I don't know if he forgot or if he was just so excited about the idea of Tyreek being available and possibly coming back to the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know. It didn't make any sense. I see why this is a discussion, but the chances of him wanting more than we are willing to pay is more than likely. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Let's see if he can run and move during routes. Boom says, give Tyreek a 1-year prove-it deal. You got to remember, Tyreek just got off a major knee injury, so he needs to prove his worth. He knows the Chiefs can show his worth. Boy, the chat is very torn on this. Seems like you guys are split as to whether or not that this is going to happen or should happen. Yeah, Buffalo is a good destination for Tyreek Hill, as well as Baltimore. I mean, if you're Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, wouldn't you want Tyreek Hill on your football team? Absolutely, you would. Tyreek to the Raiders equals more baby mamas. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't believe in the whole idea of Vegas is bad for NFL players. Obviously, the Henry Ruggs matter was absolutely awful. But listen, I mean, you have the Vegas Golden Knights, and I know hockey players they have less free time than football players. I mean, you have the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA team. And then there are a bunch of football players who do go to Vegas in the offseason. None of those guys get in trouble. So, I don't know. To me, it's just like, I don't believe in the whole idea that Vegas is... Now, some players are not able to handle it properly. And I'm referring to Tyreek Hill in Miami, and maybe the city kind of gets to him a little bit, and maybe that's why he had all these off-the-field incidents. Again, listen, these things don't happen on accident. Rashee Rice had the race driving accident, and then the same offseason, he maybe got into an altercation with a photographer, and now maybe he's committed domestic violence. Like, we don't know, obviously. But the fact that someone's name is tied into drama or alleged incidents over and over again, that doesn't make sense. Listen, Travis Kelce, before he became the big superstar that he is now, Travis Kelce was spotted plenty of times out and about in Westport. And look, it wasn't as big of a deal at the time because Travis Kelce was not who he is now. But you would see Travis Kelce at PNL or at Westport, and people would take pictures with him. People from a distance would take a picture of him just mingling with fans and whatnot. But you never once saw Travis Kelce get in trouble. I mean, yes, he would go out, but he also knew what to do. I mean, there are a lot of people who go out, but they're able to party responsibly, if you will. So some guys just aren't able to keep their name out of bad situations sometimes. I don't know what attributes to that, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. I don't believe so, Robert. No, not yet. I hear a lot of chatter about Hill going to the Bills or the Chargers. So here are my teams that I'm predicting. I think the Ravens and the Bills. I think the Chiefs are on the table. I'm not dismissing the Chiefs completely, but I say there's a very slim chance of that happening unless if Tyreek Hill is willing to be a charitable man and play for a very small price, this is a done deal, man. I don't think we're even going to wait for this, but I don't think that's happening. And look, even for $10 million, I don't think the Chiefs are just going to say yes. I think they're actually, I know I just self-contradicted myself there, but I think the Chiefs would really need to do their due diligence on that knee injury and his recovery. I think every team would when they're considering Tyreek Hill. Look, I would not be surprised if he went to the Chargers or the Raiders. Those are the teams that I think would be in the hunt to get Tyreek Hill. It's either going to be the Bills, Ravens, Chargers, or Raiders. I could see those teams. And listen, I don't want to just tie AFC West names into it, but what about the Broncos? I mean, their offense was really stale at times last year. And I'm not talking about the AFC Championship game with Jarrett Stidham. Forget about that one. I'm talking when Bo Nix was out there. I mean, the offense was really, really stale. And I recognize in Bo Nix's final game, they put up 33 points. Great. But in a lot of other games, he just was not it for the Broncos. I still remember them with that ugly Thursday night game, 10-7, they beat the Raiders. Again, listen, there are some positives to getting Tyreek Hill, but right now I think the negatives outweigh the positives with Tyreek. And I'm not saying that to be negative towards Tyreek. I appreciate everything Tyreek Hill has done for the Kansas City Chiefs over the years, but I just don't know, like, the reward does not outweigh the risk. Right now, it's a very risky move to add Tyreek Hill. So I just think at the moment right now, I think my answer would be no. And to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if the Chiefs are not seriously considering Tyreek Hill. I think the biggest reason, yeah, I know the knee is really serious. Like, you got to look at that. But I think even bigger than that, just from Kansas City's standpoint, they just don't have the funds right now. And look, the Chiefs will get below the salary cap. We know they will. They have to. But how much money are they going to have to spend? That's important. And that leads me to my next point here. And that is with Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie right now, a lot of people are speculating is on the trade block. Now, ESPN's Bill Barnwell, he put out an article, basically off-season predictions, and he was looking at some possible trades that could take place. And one of them was Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie has been a popular trade candidate for several weeks now, even during the regular season. And, to back up on the Tyreek Hill chatter for a moment there, the reason that Trent McDuffie has been a trade candidate is because the Chiefs probably cannot afford what Trent McDuffie might be asking for, which is going to be anywhere from $25 to $35 million. The highest paid cornerback right now is Sauce Gardner. He signed a deal with the Jets, and then he went on to the Colts for 2 first-round draft picks. And I'm trying to pull up the contract right now. I believe he signed a 4-year deal, $30.1 million per year. Derek Stingley Jr. also signed a 4-year deal, but $30 million a year. Sauce Gardner just got a little bit more than that. Now, in this trade proposal, he has the Chiefs receiving the Rams' 29th overall pick. Keep in mind that the Rams have 2 first-round draft picks. And he has the Chiefs receiving the latter of the 2, the 29th overall pick. Meanwhile, the Rams would receive Trent McDuffie and a 5th-round pick. So not only would you, according to Bill Barnwell's trade proposal, not only would you be shipping McDuffie to LA, you would also be sending a 5th-round pick. And all you would get back is a late 1st-round pick. And listen, I don't think I'm not fully against the proposal, but I also think if you're the Chiefs, you can get a little more than just a late 1st-round pick. In the event that I would be okay with the Chiefs getting just a 1st-round pick is if they traded with the Bengals. The Bengals have the number 10 pick in the draft. And because the Saints, Chiefs, and Bengals, because they all have a 6-11 record, this is what I saw from Matt Derrick, I believe, they're going to alternate every round. So New Orleans is picking before Kansas City and Cincinnati. Then in the next round, it's going to be KC, Cincinnati, then New Orleans. And then the round after is going to be Cincinnati, New Orleans, and then Kansas City. That's how that's going to work, according to Matt Derrick several weeks ago when the regular season ended. But if you were to get like the number 10 pick for McDuffie and nothing else, I'd be okay with that. Because then there's the possibility of having back-to-back picks. Not that, I don't think that matters too much. And by the way, if you're wondering, the other Rams pick, unless I made a mistake here. The Rams also have the 13th overall pick. Listen, if you're going to give a 5th-round pick and Trent McDuffie, you got to be, if you're the Rams, you got to give up the 13th pick. Now, if you just want to do Trent McDuffie and all you get back is the 29th overall pick, okay, all right, I can't be upset about that. But I also think the Chiefs can get more than just a 1st-round pick. I think they can at least get a 4th-round pick. Like Trent McDuffie, sure, he doesn't get the interceptions, but I think he can also, like, he covers a lot of receivers very well. A couple of times he struggled in that. The 2 Super Bowls against the Eagles, McDuffie struggled in those 2 games. In the Cowboys game this year, he had a rough go at it. But man, I just feel like McDuffie and a 5th for the 29th overall pick, that's not criminal. That's not robbery. But I think the Chiefs, unless they hit a home run and get so lucky that whoever fell to them at 29th ends up being a future Hall of Famer, I'm not a fan of that. I think if you're Kansas City, you can get a little more than just a 1. That's what I would like to see. Look, I know a lot of people are asking, why in the world would the Chiefs move on from Trent McDuffie? Well, I think no one wants to see McDuffie leave. The Chiefs don't want to see McDuffie leave. But like I said earlier with Tyreek Hill, they traded him because they couldn't afford him, what he was asking for. They couldn't afford L'Jarius Sneed and what he wanted. They couldn't afford what was remaining in Joe Thuney's contract. They just couldn't. So that's why we're in this situation again with Trent McDuffie. Tim says, I want 2 picks for McDuffie, a 1st and another. See, that's how I feel. Either a 1st and a 4th or a 2nd and a 3rd. If the Chiefs have to give up a draft pick, you got to up the ante on that one. Like, you got to give a 3rd. That's just my opinion. Yeah. See, that's the other thing. Because I've seen a few people, Lori, you mentioned Sauce got hurt after the trade. A lot of people are saying that because because Sauce was able to give the Jets or get the Jets 2 1s, that McDuffie should have very similar compensation. You're not getting that. Number 1, McDuffie does not get the interception numbers. Number 2, because of Sauce getting hurt, I think that's going to make teams hesitant in wanting to give up that much. I think the Colts were willing to do it at the time because they really wanted to go all in. Unfortunately for them, Sauce got hurt, Daniel Jones got hurt, and we never really got to see the rest of the season pan out for the Colts. So I think those are some things to consider there. Daniel's been waiting very patiently. If you guys want to call in, the link is right there. Daniel, you're on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? To answer your question, no, I don't want Tyreek, and doesn't really have to do with his injury because injuries. It was a aggressive knee injury, but I think it's off the field stuff because I don't see him being Kareem Hunt. I don't see him being straight down and narrow like Kareem Hunt does. Now, he can call Kareem Hunt and see, hey, what did you do? And maybe Kareem Hunt give him some advice, and maybe Andy Reid can help him out. But I just think, you know what? It's time to move on. We weren't supposed to win when he was gone anyway, so we've been winning. I'd rather draft a younger wide receiver and fill up the nucleus because he's going to come in and I don't think he's going to get the ball. I mean, we're going to give the ball to Rice and we're going to give the ball to Brown and hopefully Thornton. And I just think that he will cause more issues and more drama, and he can take that to Las Vegas or Buffalo, whoever. I just don't see the reason to bring him back. Yeah, he's great. And as far as but I agree with you. The last 2 years has been on the down year, but it's all that off-season stuff. It's just so much off-season things, and I don't think he'll be like Kareem Hunt, straight up.
Yeah, those are some good points, Daniel, and I appreciate the call. Somebody was asking me on Facebook, what's the difference between Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill? It's a valid question, but the thing about Kareem Hunt, and yes, Kareem, and we saw the one incident that was on video, but then there were two others that we don't really know what happened, not on video. And there was a bar incident in Cleveland, and then there was him getting pulled over for weed. That was right before Super Bowl 54. His last incident was right before Super Bowl 54, the first Super Bowl appearance with this core unit. So that was a while ago. Kareem Hunt has kept his nose pretty damn clean over these last few years. Listen, when was Tyreek Hill's most recent? I don't know. I think it's been at least within the last year. Listen, again, I'm not trying to be negative with Tyreek Hill, but it just feels like every 3 or 4 months we hear something with Tyreek Hill. Like, this is the kind of stuff you would expect from a college football program that just cannot get their players to sit straight. Like little Timmy and then Eric and then Johnny. I mean, they're all getting into trouble. Like, Tyreek Hill is on that kind of trajectory right now where every few months something's going on. And maybe he doesn't have time to get in trouble right now because he's recovering from a significant knee injury. But yeah, I do agree with Daniel. Like, see, my thing is, and again, I'm talking just from Brett Veach, Andy Reid's perspective, more so Brett Veach because he's the GM. I think the Chiefs may stay away from this because of financial reasons. But I think the rest of us, like Daniel, and I see a lot of you guys are agreeing with Daniel, you just see all these off the field incidents, and it's like, look, you're already dealing with Rashee Rice and what he maybe did or didn't do. Again, we don't know. I want to be very clear on that. We don't know. I'm an innocent before proven guilty kind of guy. But you already have a headache on your team. You don't need another one. Like, that is... The Chiefs have dealt with their off-the-field incidents. Isaiah Buggs. Now, look. Isaiah Buggs is not, Vince Wilfork or Ndamukong Suh or even Chris Jones for that matter. But the fact that he was on the team and he had multiple incidents off the field, I think it had to do with animal cruelty more than anything else. The Chiefs were like, dude, we can't do this. They let him go. Xavier Worthy. We don't know what happened with Xavier Worthy last year, but it did result in an arrest and a mugshot. Now, the DA turned that story around pretty quickly with some of the decisions he made. Doesn't necessarily nullify what happened or what may have happened. Again, want to be clear, alleged. And then, Andy Reid's son and how big of a story that was for a couple of years. Like, the Chiefs are right now trying, and right before that, Tyreek Hill and that audio that came out, the Chiefs are trying so damn hard to stay out of the limelight with this kind of stuff. I mean, listen, I remember a time when the Chiefs had a lot of drama-free off seasons. And look, I get it. When you're winning as much as the Chiefs have been, even though they didn't win a lot this year, still, the Chiefs are still viewed as that team. Let's be honest. Even off a 6-11 season, they're still viewed as that team. I guarantee you, any team that beats the Chiefs next season, it's going to be a big deal for them. Even if the Chiefs are bad next year, which I don't think, the Chiefs are still viewed as that team. And because of Travis Kelce and his relationship to Taylor Swift, all these championships they've won with these core players, I mean, they literally have international superstars on their team. Mahomes is popular worldwide, shaking hands with athletes outside of North America. Kelce and his relationship with Taylor. I mean, everyone's paying attention very closely to every single Instagram post that the Chiefs make, every retweet. When Travis Kelce liked somebody's post, when Brittany Mahomes liked a politician's post that I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't like, that was a big deal. Like, everyone is paying so close attention. So I think the Chiefs, from a PR standpoint, and listen, PR matters a lot more in 2026 than it mattered back in 2006. Because now you're just viewed under a deep microscope. Like, yeah, people are watching you closely. And I think the Chiefs are just kind of at a point now where they're like, we're tired of this shit. We don't want this to happen constantly. So, yeah, I can understand. Teresa mentions a couple of players. Honey Badger, Reed. I assume you mean Britt Reed, L'Jarius Sneed. Well, let me just say this about L'Jarius Sneed. I don't think L'Jarius Sneed ever got in trouble off the field when he was in Kansas City. Now in Tennessee, yeah, he's had some alleged incidents, let's just say. And I don't even know all the details to that, so I'm not going to get into that too much. TJ says Eric Bieniemy has something to do with it. What does that mean? Are you saying Eric Bieniemy might persuade the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill for the reunion? Maybe. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say coordinators don't have an influence. I think they do, but I don't think it's as big as some of you guys might think. That's just my opinion. Carlos says, why are people so negative on Hill? To me, he really wants to come back to KC on a more capable winning team that is consistent in reuniting with Mahomes and potentially Travis. Who knows? They might stick him to stay out of trouble. Carlos, look, man, I don't know. I appreciate the comment. And look, I see you put a lot of time into that comment. It's a long comment. I can't read all of it, but I mean, how are the Chiefs going to do that with Tyreek Hill when they can't even do it with some of their own guys? And look, I'm not expecting the Chiefs to be helicopter parents. Like Andy Reid, Brett Veach, Carl Cohn, those guys have their own lives. I mean, they're busy enough doing what they do for a living. The last thing they have time for is to be a helicopter parent for 53 players. They just can't do that. I mean, Andy Reid, like, his son dealt with something bad and he had to deal with that. He doesn't have time to babysit all of these other players. They just can't. They can't. And by the way, one other thing, and Carlos, you kind of alluded to this. I know Daniel brought this up as well. One of the reasons Tyreek Hill was upset in Kansas City is that the inconsistencies with how often he got the ball. Look, Tyreek Hill shared the field with an all-pro tight end. Listen, both Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce thrived in Kansas City. But I guess Tyreek Hill wasn't happy because there were some games where he didn't get a lot of the attention, but it was Travis Kelce who did, or Sammy Watkins, or whoever. Listen, that was the beauty of the Chiefs in 2018 and 2019 and 2020. Patrick Mahomes' first 3 years as a starter. Because if you remember those, listen, let's just do all 4 years with the times when Mahomes and Hill played together. So from 2018 to 2021, you had Watkins, Tyreek, McCole Hardman, who I thought was better earlier on in his career than later on, and Kelce. And I'll even throw guys like Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson. If Tyreek Hill didn't have a good game, statistically speaking, if he was double teamed, triple teamed a lot, well, then Travis Kelce had a big game. If Travis Kelce was double or triple teamed often, Sammy Watkins had a big game, or Demarcus Robinson, Byron. That was the beauty of this Chiefs offense. And I think that's what the Chiefs have tried to recreate with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown. That did not work out at all. And I'm wondering how much of that had to do with Matt Nagy. That's why I'm really hoping the Chiefs run it back one more time with Hollywood Brown. We'll see if they bring him back or not. Tyquan Thornton, I think a lot of people would like to see him back as well. But the Chiefs had, look, I'll die on this hill. I thought the Chiefs had great depth at the wide receiver position last year. It just wasn't utilized properly. And I don't know how much of it do you really put on Matt Nagy, who, look, let's be honest. The Chiefs did not want Matt Nagy back. It just worked out in Andy Reid's favor that Nagy's contract was up and he wanted to go elsewhere to be a play caller. Because if Nagy was this great offensive coordinator that Andy was trying to verbally endorse, the Chiefs would have been on their hands and knees begging for Nagy to come back. Instead, they brought back Bieniemy, who under his timing in Kansas City, with his 5 years, the Chiefs were top 6 in scoring and total yards offensively. I mean, come on. Let's not, because I see a couple Chiefs fans out there who are like, well, Nagy must be good if he was interviewed by 4 teams. That doesn't mean anything. A lot of assistant coaches are interviewed. A lot of them are interviewed. I mean, look at Tennessee. Their 2 candidates were Robert Saleh and Matt Nagy. That's translation for, we regret firing Mike Vrabel. Like, come on. Oh, of course, the offensive line needs to improve. I will say this. I think the offensive line last year looked way better than the year before. And Patrick Mahomes was running for his life every game in 2024. Not saying that didn't happen in 2025, but in 2025, I remember watching that first game between the Chiefs and the Chargers in Brazil. And I remember Mahomes was in the pocket for a long time. And I'm thinking in my head, throw the damn ball. Like, someone's got to be open. And in the same thought, I was like, wait, he has time in the pocket. This is not something we had last year. So I think the offensive line certainly made strides forward this past season. Still room to improve, certainly. And we've gone over that before. Do we need Hill if we bring back Thornton and Brown and draft a wide receiver in the top 100? Adam's asking. If you bring back Thornton and Brown, I don't think you really need Hill that much. I mean, listen, again, Hollywood Brown, I'll say this. I know that Hollywood Brown did some good things this year. I mean, again, he's not what he once was. I said that earlier, and I'll continue to say it. But I would love, like, if Tyreek Hill did come back to the Chiefs, and I don't know who else they would re-sign if they did end up adding Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's not going to be the feature wide receiver. 1, because of his injury. 2, he's 32. Like, Tyreek Hill can beat me in a race going backwards. But in the NFL, at his age, coming off that injury, Tyreek Hill cannot be the feature wide receiver. He just can't. There's no way. And then he would have to accept the fact that he's sharing a field with everyone else. Kind of what we were alluding to earlier with how he was upset that he wasn't targeted, I guess, 10 times every single game. He wanted to be the feature back in Miami, and that's what he was. And that's why he had back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons. Well, he was 1 yard away from 1,800 yards the second season. Here's another thing I will say. And look, the Chiefs need to get a run game going. Their run game has not been good. They were 24th in running last year, 26th the year before. The run game opens up the pass game. You don't have to be a top 10 rushing team to do that. Because I thought with Isaiah Pacheco in 2022, that opened up the pass game pretty well. And that forces defenses to stack guys in the box, something defenses didn't have to do against Kansas City last year. The only thing significant about Kansas City's run game last year was Kareem Hunt in the short yardage situations. That was it. That's the only value right now you have if you bring back Kareem Hunt, which I hope they do. Excuse me, because I think Hunt is valuable in those situations. Titans sold out a good coach. That was one of the dumbest head coaching firings, in my opinion. Cody says Tyreek Hill coming back, bro. With what salary cap, though? See, a couple of you guys are saying Tyreek Hill's coming back. With what salary cap? I mean, that's a real thing. Like, you guys got to know that. See, and that's the other thing. I see a couple of you guys talking about whether or not the Chiefs could draft Jeremiah Love. I would love Jeremiah Love. I think edge rusher is a much bigger priority. But if Reuben Bain Jr. is on the board and they draft Jeremiah Love, I would not be upset with that one either. I think that would really create some exciting opportunities for the offense. And look, I don't know how much money the Chiefs are going to have to spend in free agency. If they can do something magical with Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones contracts, yeah, maybe there's a chance they could get Breece Hall and get Tyreek Hill. Maybe. But I'm not banking on that. Like, again, this is not a charitable association. This is the NFL. Players are going to want to play for money. Taylor leaving and shuffling the line will also make the line even better. That is true. Yeah, we've gone over that. 55 penalties in 3 years. I mean, that is abysmal. That's pathetic. Pacheco has fallen off. Yeah. And I hate to see that because I was a huge fan of Pacheco when they drafted him. And I told you guys at the time in 2022, I'm like, Pacheco's going to be good. And he ended up being good for the Chiefs, considering, he almost went undrafted. But unfortunately, ever since that injury in 2023, he has not been the same running back. Tyreek is about to be 32 and coming off a bad injury. He's going to take the biggest deal he can get. It won't be from Casey. Yeah, see, I'm with you. And that's to add to that, and I said this earlier, I think there is one team that is going to be willing to pay Tyreek Hill. Who is that one team? I don't know. It would have to be a team that's, near the bottom of the league, like a Cleveland, a Vegas, one of the Jets. Farzine, am I going on spring break? I don't know what that means. Am I going anywhere on spring break? Yeah, I'll be in Vegas in April. Tyreek wouldn't be available to play until mid-season, maybe. Yeah, Chargers, I think there's a possibility. I was mentioning that earlier. So we'll have to see on that. I just don't think it. By the way, I hate this phrase, but I'm seeing some people out there say it makes too much sense, and I agree. I think people are just thinking of the idea that, he once played here and he was amazing and they did all these great things. Why not do it again? I get that. But, Tyreek Hill's age and injury, that matters, as well as the salary cap. Daniel's asking, do I think the Chiefs go after Bradley Chubb? Yeah, it's a very good question. I asked you guys this. So Bradley Chubb just got let go also by the Miami Dolphins. I mentioned earlier that the Dolphins, they are cleaning house, and they also released their edge rusher, Bradley Chubb. They did that first before releasing Tyreek Hill. What has he had? He's had 20 sacks the past 2 years. Yeah. He had 11 sacks in 2023, and he had 8.5 sacks in 2025. I'm not opposed. What's his age? For some reason, I can't get his age to come up. So he's 25, I think. Oh no, he's 30. 30. Okay. Can't do math. Off my head, top of my head, can't do that. Look, I'm not opposed. Is that the number one option or even number two option? Probably not. But I think Kansas City is considering it. Listen, Kansas City's defensive front was not very good. Their sack total has dropped drastically since 2023. They were second in sacks that year. Chris Jones had 15.5 sacks in 2022. And the Chiefs' defensive line just has not been the same since then. And they need help. That's why I'm going with Ruben Bain before Jeremiah Love. Again, I would not be upset at all if Jeremiah Love ends up being the guy. Or David Bailey, the guy from Texas Tech. I would also prefer him over Jeremiah Love if he's somehow available, if they're both available, which I'd be shocked. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like that defensive line, especially considering they have so many defensive backs that are set to be free agents, Brian Cook, Jalen Watson, Josh Williams, and maybe they trade Trent McDuffie. Yeah, I think you got to beef up that defensive line and make sure they can dominate on a 4-man pass rush. Because if Omar Norman-Lott is healthy, that's great news for Chris Jones and the rest of the defensive line. I know they like Ashton Gelati as well. So they really need a lot. If the Chiefs can figure out, because I think Eric Bieniemy coming back is a really significant piece for the offensive coaching staff, as well as Chad O'Shea. I think that alone will improve the offense. But if they can get a running back to open up the run game and bring back Tyquan Thornton and Travis Kelce, I think your offense is going to do well. I think Jalen Moore is going to be your right tackle. I do. And if he struggles, Esepole is probably going to be one of your depth players. Now, defensively, because you have a lot of defensive backs set to hit free agency, maybe Brian Cook comes back, but if they can solve the defensive line, and I don't know how you do that, because you just have the 9th pick for now. If you can get Reuben Bain Jr. or David Bailey, that is going to go a long ways for your defense. It really will. So figure that out, and I think the rest of the defense will fall into place. If the Chiefs have a good offensive line, and I think, their only major concerns are left guard and right tackle. Left tackle with Josh Simmons, you just hope he can be available. He's had 2 season-ending injuries 2 years in a row. This past year, his rookie campaign, and the year before with Ohio State, missing out on their national championship run. So, if Kansas City can figure out the right tackle spot, and maybe that guy's already on the team, the running back, as well as edge rusher, I think they'll have a pretty damn good season. I do. By the way, here's an idea I'm going to toss out there. And this is not at all my preferred idea, nor do I think anybody would be in favor of this. But I'm going to put it out there as a possibility. Because you got to remember, the Chiefs don't right now have a lot of room at the cap space. Right now, they're almost $60 million over the cap. They'll free space up, but if they're really zeroing in on Reuben Bain Jr. instead of Jeremiah Love, is it possible the Chiefs kick the can down the road one more year and bring back both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco? I know that's not an exciting idea. I'm not saying I'm in favor of that. But the logic behind it is they're both cheap guys. And I think this is significant. Eric Bieniemy has coached both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. He only coached Pacheco for 1 year. He only coached Kareem Hunt for 1 full year. The second season when Kareem Hunt got cut, obviously it was not a full year. But he's familiar with both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. So when you consider the salary cap and what the Chiefs can spend and not spend, how much wiggle room they'll really have, and if there's not much of it, yeah, maybe bringing back Hunt and Pacheco is something that's on the table. That, again, I'm not saying that's a good idea. I'm just saying that is an idea they might be considering as like a plan G. Like it wouldn't even be plan A, B, or C. That is like last resort. So I just want to make that clear. I don't think they're. David says, I think Pop and Hunt can be successful with line adjustments. Yeah, I felt like their vision just wasn't very good. Kareem Hunt was never this speedy running back. Like, I remember against Jacksonville, he broke free for like a really big 30 or 40-yard gain. Dude, if that was Pacheco would have taken it to the house because Pacheco has the speed. But Pacheco's vision this past year was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I don't know. With EB making the Bears running back shine, I say bring them back for 1 more year. That's a valid point. Yeah, see, some of you guys aren't too big of a fan of Pacheco right now. See, I get that. But all I'm saying is, like, if the Chiefs had a lot of money to spend, I would not even propose this idea. The idea here is, if you're going to spend money elsewhere, like another offensive lineman, which I would be a little surprised by that. But, they're going to have to spend money on Travis Kelce and Tyquan Thornton. If they can find a way to bring back Leo Chenal, that's a big win for Kansas City's defense. And if they can get an edge rusher, whether it is Bradley Chubb or Reuben Bain Jr. in the draft, that's also a big win for the defense. Now, Breece Hall's probably going to be gone by then. When I say by then, I'm talking by the time the draft happens. I don't know if Jeremiah Love's going to be available at 9. I think the Jets and the Saints would seriously consider Jeremiah Love. I think the Saints would love to have a David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs type of duo for 1 year. That's on the table for them. So if the Chiefs get Reuben Bain Jr., maybe they run it back with Pacheco and Hunt one more time and maybe get Rashard Smith a little more involved. And maybe that's when you see Pacheco's playing time go away if he's not able to play like he did in 2022 or 2023. Just something to consider. Pacheco would just run into Creed's butt. Yeah, that happened a lot. I would get text messages from my dad during some Chiefs games. He would constantly ask me, why are they running straight into their own linemen? It's a great question. One that no one ever asked Andy Reid for some reason, but neither here nor there. All right, before I get out of here, real quickly, for those who missed it at the beginning of the podcast, I said this on social media. I said this at the start of the podcast, and I'll say it right now. We have a big announcement coming up on Friday in regards to our first ever live show. This will not be live streamed. This would be in-person live. I would love to give you guys the details. I have the poster for it right here. I hope you guys did not see that. I think I may have fumbled that for a second, but I have the poster right here, and I have to redo it because I have the wrong damn date on it. Otherwise, it's a great looking poster. How much of that can you see? You can't even see that at all. See, the lighting. Oh, you can see a little bit of that. Okay, let's put that away. See, I don't want to get in trouble. See, now people are going to screen record it, all that stuff. Yeah, we don't want that. But we've got a date, a time, and a location set. That'll be announced this Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. Do not miss it. I'm excited to share it with you guys. Tickets for this will not sell out. I know that does not make sense, but it'll make more sense when you find out where it's going to be. And I'm excited for you guys to find out. And I hope you can all make it fit into your schedule because I'm excited. This is going to be our first. This is something I've had in mind for a long time, to do a live show with a live audience. I know there are some popular podcasts that do that kind of thing. I just wasn't sure if we were really in position to be able to make that happen. But, you know, some ideas were proposed to me that I was not expecting to even come up in a discussion. And I said, holy shit, that sounds awesome. That's actually a dream come true in a way, especially with the location where we're going. And, you know, listen, we're going to see how this goes. If it's a failure, that would be disappointing. You might not do it again. But if this is a successful event and we have a big turnout for this, then yes, we will seriously consider doing another. I will tell you this. There have been a couple of businesses that have reached out to me personally about hosting us. And that's a great compliment. Look, the venue's got to make sense. Everything's got to make sense. Both parties have to see it as a win for them. And, you know, we got to do it in a room where we can do a podcast and basically a panel with special guests. So those things we've got to consider for sure. So I'm excited. I wish I could tell you guys right now because I hate secrets. I'm not good at keeping secrets. I may have revealed part of it in that little sheet I was just putting up closer than I should have. Hopefully I don't get my ass into trouble with that one, but you will get all of your answers this Friday, 12 o'clock Central Time. Big, big announcement, so do not miss out on it. We'll talk to you all about it much more on Friday. Until then, I will talk to you all on Wednesday night, same time, same place. We'll react more to the Kansas City Chiefs and their offseason moves. Hopefully, we'll have some Chiefs news to discuss then. But until then, if you guys liked any part of this podcast, please give it a like, share it with your friends. If you miss any part of this, it'll be archived very shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X, Apple, Spotify, anywhere where you can download and listen to a podcast. I appreciate all of you guys joining me on this Monday night. I will talk to you all later this week. Take care.